What's happening, YouTube? This is Immortal Coil, your future Minister of Whiskey Mysticism. Revolution is my name. This program is called The Savage Perspective, a news of the weird sort of collection of ragtag things, fandom menace related, and just whatever I happen to find fascinating. Gonna go ahead and toast the chat. At this point, we got 0 eyeballs on us, but that's okay. I know people will filter in, and more often than not, people like to catch this on the replay while they're at work, doing shit that they'd rather not, but keeping their heads somewhere else. Gonna go ahead and toast you guys. Raise your drinks up high, whatever you choose to imbibe. Here's to us, what's like us. Right on. Well, I hope everybody's doing good tonight. Thought we'd start the show off with a little bit of fun. That is, if you're a dork like I am. If you're into sci-fi, if you're into things out of this world, out of the ordinary, you might dig this. Sci-fi actually led in part to an interest in astronomy. That's right, the lost art of looking at the stars. Combined with the campfire, the night sky was humanity's first TV, first radio, whatever. And the stories we were handed down from our forefathers, or perhaps the gods, all involved stars. Visitors from heaven, what have you. And then later on, creators of sci-fi began to weave their own tales about the stars. So, first up on the block here, we got this story from phys.org, physics.org, astrophysics. New Horizons conducts the first interstellar parallax experiment. This came out on June 12th, 2020, credited to NASA. So here we have a 2-frame animation of Proxima Centauri as it blinks back and forth between New Horizon photography and Earth-based photography. Now, why is this so cool? Let's go ahead and read on. For the first time, a spacecraft has sent back pictures of the sky from so far away that some stars appear to be in a different position than we'd see from Earth. More than 4 billion miles from home and speeding towards interstellar space, NASA's New Horizons has traveled so far that it now has a unique view of the nearest stars. Quote, "It's fair to say that New Horizons is looking at an alien sky, unlike what we see from Earth," said Alan Stern, New Horizons principal investigator from the Southwest Research Institute, SWRRI, God bless you, in Boulder, Colorado. Hey, Alan, say hi to Mecha Random 42 for us. Quote, "And that has allowed us to do something that had never been accomplished before, to see the nearest stars visibly displaced on the sky from the positions we see them on Earth." On April 22nd to April 23rd, one day after my birthday, the spacecraft turned its long-range telescopic camera to a pair of the closest stars, Proxima Centauri and Wolf 359, showing us just how they appear in different places than we see them from Earth. Scientists have long used this parallax effect, how a star appears to shift against its background when seen from different locations, to measure distances to stars. An easy way to see parallax is to place one finger at arm's length and watch it jump back and forth when you view it successfully with each eye. Similarly, as Earth makes its way around the sun, the stars shift their positions. But because even the nearest stars are hundreds of thousands of times further away than the diameter of Earth's orbit, the parallax shifts are tiny and can only be measured with precise instrumentation. Quote, "No human eye can detect these shifts," Stern said. But when New Horizons images are paired with pictures of the same stars taken on the same dates by telescopes on Earth, The parallax shift is instantly visible. The combination yields a 3D view of stars floating in front of their background star fields. So here again, we see a GIF, a 2-frame animation of Wolf 359 as it blinks back and forth between New Horizons and Earth images. Pretty cool stuff. Now, if you're like me and your mother's teat, as it were, was Star Trek, you'll remember in the Next Generation's arguably best two-parter, The Best of Both Worlds, as well as the premiere episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Starfleet engaged the Borg at Wolf 359. Now, I know a lot of star names on Star Trek were made up in bullshit, but particularly in the first 3 seasons, they took care to use stars that were easily referenceable to Earthbound watchers. Now, just to give an idea, this is a star map. Okay, you can see where this is rendered in 3D, and it's Sol-centric, meaning that the maker of the map put the sun at the center just for our sakes and purposes. But we know probably every spacefaring civilization would put their star central so that they had a reference point, unless they use something like quasars or black holes or other interstellar phenomenon. But here on Earth, for this map, we're using a Sol-centric map. Now you can see up here where there's concentric rings. Each ring separates out about 5 light years distance. So using these rings, we can get a concept of where our closest stars are out to 20 light years. So Wolf 359 is right here, hanging out about 7 or so light years away from the sun, towards the constellation of Leo. Now, Proxima Centauri is going to be in this cluster right here. It's going to be this little red dot. Now, Proxima Centauri is a very tiny red dwarf star, possibly Earth size, possibly a little bit smaller. But Proxima Centauri is about 4.9 light years away towards the constellation of the Centaur, which is visible from the southern hemisphere. So we'll flip to this star map here. I know it's kind of convoluted, but this yellow line represents the ecliptic, which is the path that the sun passes through the zodiac constellations. And this blue line represents Earth's equator. So if you're in North America like I am, I reside in the state of Washington, we can only see above the blue line. Now in extreme, like probably the like Hawaii and the Florida Keys or something like that, you can get a glimpse of some of these below the equator constellations. But to get a full view, you'd have to be somewhere like my good buddy Lethal Lightning. He lives in Australia, so he can see the Centaur, which is going to be down here towards the west in the southern sky. So we got Proxima and Alpha Centauri here, and we got Wolf 359 over here. And we'll just jump back for reference. Hey, what up? We got Tommy in the house. What's up, Tommy? We're just going through a interesting article before we get into the entertainment critique. The New Horizon craft was able to photograph Proxima Centauri and Wolf 359, and then we were able to take a photograph, an Earth-based photograph from a star observatory, and get a parallax effect. And this is where it becomes kind of cool. Okay, New Horizons experiment provides the largest parallax baseline ever made, over 4 billion miles, and the first demonstration of an easily observable stellar parallax. What up, Spork? We got my fellow fourth waver here, sometimes guest of the show. All right. Well, sleep good, princess. We'll definitely look for you on that replay. Hope everything's all on the up and up for you. So basically, this is a bunch of scientists kind of patting themselves on the back, but here's where it gets crazy. Okay. Now put the two images side by side. Using kind of like a magic eye effect where you stare at both images and let your eyes relax. It is possible to create a 3D image in your head. Now, what this looks like is if you concentrate on one image in each eye, what'll happen is your eyes will unfocus and it'll look like there's a third square in the middle. And if you're doing it right, the third square in the middle is in 3D. What that means is that you can artificially reproduce what it would be like to look out of a starship window at these stars and get a sense of what where they live in space, similar to that star map that I just showed you with the concentric circles. Really cool stuff. So when I was a kid and I was watching Star Trek The Next Generation and they were talking about Wolf 359, this is what it would look like. And you can just imagine zipping over there on a, geez, what would you need? Like warp 5, you just get there in a couple hours. 3D. Really cool stuff, guys. So yeah, we got author Stephen Walton in the chat as well. Hail, Stephen. We got Spork, we got Tommy, the hardest working and best mod in the business here. I think he's mod on like 40 channels by now. Hope you guys are all having a great evening. Just wanted to go ahead and start off on a sort of earthbound note. Really enjoy that stuff. So we're gonna go over some how's it been hanging in the fandom menace. What's been going on? Well, I don't know if you guys remember a couple 42. That's right, Sport. A couple weeks ago, I did a couple of broadcasts. One of them was about this thing. I got a copyright strike on one of my videos. I did a video about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is a Star Trek sexually transmitted disease spinoff starring Ethan Peck and Anson Mount and Rebecca Romaine. I'd lick butter off of your butt, Stamos. I guess she's not married to Stamos anymore, but you get the gist. YouTube and CBS came to their fucking senses and went ahead and released the copyright claim. Good job, guys. You get a pat on the head from me. You can go ahead and get some cookies and some Black Angus milk. And this is something that I've seen go around, and not just me, but other creators, where you take a clip from a movie or a video game or TV show, what have you. You're using it clearly for entertainment critique, clearly for something that is a commentary. And in my case, when I do like regular video releases, I do like a slideshow, and sometimes I incorporate motion video, but I have an audio track the whole time. So in this instance, I literally had a tiny bit of the classic Star Trek, the original series intro. Like the Enterprise is coming around a planet and then it shoots off in outer space and the Star Trek logo comes in. No music, nothing else. And it was just that long. I sort of mused that the idea of Captain Pike and Number One very much fits the feminist high power kind of, TV show goals that are lauded by quote unquote creative groups. And if you're familiar with the Star Trek original series, it was passed over. The pilot was passed over by the network because number one, there was an alien that looked like Satan, and then number two, there was a woman in the first officer chair, and they just thought nobody's going to take a woman seriously. So I go over the dangers of it. That show done right would be really awesome if they had the right team, the right writers. But there's a danger of number one saving the day every time, and the guys looking like buffoons. Okay, here comes number one, cleaning up your boy's mess again. So it's a cautionary tale and very much in a we'll wait and see what happens kind of flavor. Well, they released it. So you guys go ahead and check out my channel, Immortal Coil. This is the video right there. You'll see the Enterprise firing on all phasers. These are other fine videos as well. So very happy with that. Looks like we got a couple of other people watching here. I see a random Brad creator. Given the waves and the heavy metal, go ahead and check him out. He's a good dude too. So in other news, last Sunday we had a really, really good show. I had a Final Death Star on as my guest, and for about an hour and a half, we went over his UFO sighting. Now he actually, unlike other dorks who like to sit around and say we saw shit, he had the foresight to grab his camera phone, and for 4 or 5 days he was capturing strange orbs over the 29 Palms area of California. So we go into that, and then towards the end of the program we actually go into some biblical mysticism over some encounters which quite possibly could be interpreted as early UFO sightings. So that was Savage Spirituality last Sunday. This coming up Sunday, we're trying to get a couple of native Washingtonians together for Savage Spirituality. There's a lot of weirdness going on in Seattle. There's a couple of blocks that are called like CHAZ or Chop or the Hanging Chad or Charo Coochie Coochie, something like that. But apparently they are being protected by Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So it raises a couple questions about what's the police's duty? What about the shop owners that live there? Is it martial law? Is the Constitution suspended? Are these guys trying to secede from the Union? Or are they just a bunch of jerk-offs angry about bullshit? I don't know. Well, we'll discuss that on Sunday. So join me then. It'll be around 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time Sunday night. Hope to have a couple of very special guests for you guys. And aside from that, I am working on another regular video. I had a really good concept. I saw this article about the guy who plays Ezekiel in The Walking Dead. And he is the parent of a transgender child, biologically born as a female, but identifies as a male. And the actor has no bones about saying that that's his son. So what is the Fandom Menace perspective on that? Got my brain ticking. So that should be up in the next couple days. I hope to have it up by the weekend, hopefully in time for Savage Spirituality. Yes, Stephen. Chaz does have superheroes and supervillains now. From what I see, they look like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I don't know, man. I kind of want to put on some claws and head down there and see if I can interview them. Like, have you ever heard of Fleckus Talks? That guy, he walks around with a microphone taped to a spoon, and he wears like he has like a beard. He's a heavy set guy. He wears like a a Back to the Future vest, something like that. And he walks around and he talks to kids on campuses and asks them about their positions. And most of these kids can't get past the talking points that the media and their college fucking professors uh, spoon feed them. You ask them about your own opinion or you confront them with actual facts. These guys can't hang. They just can't hang. Anyway, that would be fun. That would be a fantasy of mine. Of course, I'd have 6 stainless steel claws to protect me. But these guys, like they get together and group think, if you want to call it think, collective consciousness. But unfortunately, the conscious is retarded. And they're, you know, together in groups, they're able to intimidate people. They're flipping over cars in Paris. But you know, you come back to them with some actual balls and they fold like a cheap card table. It's crazy. So yeah, join us Sunday. We'll go ahead and pluck that chicken, dip it in some KFC, roll it around in 11 herbs and spices, and you know, eat party foul. Okay. Hail to the chat. Hail to the viewers. We got 4 of you guys. Appreciate that. Join me. Lift your glasses, whatever you're drinking, and let's wish Sporking News Podcast happy Betty Bye. Yeah. Okay. Now, I suppose the biggest news in the Phantom Menace, as far as if we're going to be following some personality cults, is this guy right here, Jeremy Geeks and Gamers Griggs, has been put into the Twatter Webs jail. It's very sad. If you guys want to, you can send him cakes with nail files and shit baked in it. He looks very distraught. And I thought it was funny. Jeremy Geeks and Gamers was one of the first channels that I gravitated towards. I found Mahler first, but Jeremy was one of the other guys that was talking about what the fuck was that Ryan Johnson shat out and called a movie. You know, and here's the thing. I don't agree 100% with everything this guy comes out with. You know, he has his right to an opinion, and we have a right to disagree with him if we want to. You talk to the man, he wouldn't want it any other way. He's the kind of guy you can give shit to and hopefully take shit back. And even if you get in a disagreement, you can hopefully work it out and come away somewhat civilized. But whatever differences you have with him, the thing that bothers me is that because he disagreed with the creators of a video game, some fucking rabid sick puppy, they went ahead and censored his right to express himself. That is correct, Tommy. Canceled Jeremy. Twatter got him. They sure did. Now, again, I don't care for everything that he puts out. You know, sometimes I'll watch his shit. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, you know, eh. Or there's other presenters that I like, you know. That doesn't invalidate this man's right to speak. And even if you can't stand the guy, there's something to be looked at here. And it goes back to that saying. I forget what movie it's from. I fucking disagree with everything you say, but I will die to defend your right to say it. Now, YouTube in particular was a platform that was started so that the American dream, Jeremy's sitting here in his fucking pool house in front of lightsabers and Mario shit, sounding off, right? Same thing. I'm sitting on my fucking porch, talking into a blue microphone about Star Wars and shit. And depending on how good you are, people will listen. You do it long enough, you'll get an audience. You do it well enough, they'll pay you to do it. You know, and that's the American dream. I think many of us, second waivers and beyond, saw what the big three did, especially in the High Council. Now, pretty much everybody that visits my channel and that's in the stream, I saw you guys in the chat on High Council chats. And if it wasn't High Council, it was Doomcock or, you know, EVS, even just the big three by themselves. So we sat there, we listened, we're like, damn, I didn't know that there was other guys that felt that way. Shit, I could do this too. Not the same way, but my way, you know, the collective my way. And these guys inspired us. They continue to inspire us with their business model. Let's say that. Now, if you're smart, you won't copy their channel because we already have their channel. But if you do it well enough with a erudite, buttery voice, you will succeed. So what we have here is a classic case of some sick puppy, big fucking company pushing their thumb down on the head of this young man, the sad little man right here. He has been canceled. He looks upset. I don't know if he's eaten. He's chewing on his lip a little bit. You know, in Twitter jail. I mean, it's sad out there. He only has like Ahsoka to hang out with. I guess Mario and that's a stormtrooper back there. Actually, that's probably his jail guard. Now, Jeremy, if you were smart, you'd turn around and like hold up your hand and say, you will uncuff me and drop your blaster on the floor and leave. Probably not though, because you're not Ray. You won't ever be. You're just a sick white boy alone in your pool house. Or you know, if you could, hey, what's that over there? Just grab that red turtle shell, kick it over there, knock that fucker over, and get the fuck out of there. Regardless, though, we will, you know, we will campaign for you, even if we don't care for every little fucking thing on your channel. You deserve the right to speak. You deserve the right to speak. Yes, folks, I'm outside, and that was possibly a firework, possibly a gunshot. All right, we got V-Star33 in the house. Hail V-Star333. Appreciate you swinging by. Got 5 viewers currently going on. I don't know. What can we do for him? What can we do for Jeremy? Well, definitely go and like and sub to his channel. I first found out about it. I was squeaking through Twitter, and I found this like frantic chipmunk video that the Star Wars girl posted. You know, and she sped it up obviously for theatrical effect, but it was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Then my good friend Lethal Lightning, he released a video this morning. And I was like, what the fuck? And then Drunk 3PO, he released a video, a very touching video where he actually sang condolences to Greg's. Yeah, Drunk 3PO, the handsomest man in the Fandom Menace, but not the best singer in the Fandom Menace. That's okay, bro. We love you anyway. Then actually Jeremy found time to be on the High Council. I know it's shocking. So he goes on about that. That was yesterday's episode. So check that out. Just you know, give him a sub. Go listen to his videos. He's going to be incommunicado until this fucking thing blows over. But we've seen it before. We'll likely see it again. But it's really correct, Tommy. Nobody has a right to speak on YouTube anymore. I heard something that, and this is back when Donald Trump was a little bit butthurt about being blocked by Twitter, where he got a little bit up in arms and he's like, well, this is fucked up because social media platforms are saying that they're, independent of media coverage, so that basically opinions are not allowed. And if something goes against their fucking community guidelines, whatever the hell that is, then they have the right to censor you, which is bullshit, because that's essentially a flexible set of guidelines that when you do something they disagree with, they shut you up or they shut down your ability to earn an income. And then they also, in your absence, have the right to frame the conversation. And you literally are left with no means of facing your accuser. It's fucked up. And they'll phrase it like this. It's like, say you're at a party and your buddy comes over and he's being a dickhole. And you're like, hey, dickhole, get out of here. And you kick him out and he goes home, and then you turn around and spend the rest of the party going, man, that guy's a fucking dick. He's an asshole. Fuck him. If he was a cigarette butt, I'd step on him and put him out. Dude's outside. He can't fucking talk for himself. Maybe he was being an asshole. Maybe he wasn't. You'll never know, because you didn't give him a chance to speak. Okay? Yeah, it's weird. The other problem we have here is that with, let's say, the acquisition of these media channels. So it's no big secret, YouTube is owned by Google, and Google owns everything, or at least has vans that go around and look at everything. You're basically, you have to pander to the politics of whoever the fuck owns the avenue, right? It's their street. You want to drive on it, pay the fucking toll. It's the king's highway. This is the king's deer. This is the king's fucking fowl. Are you poaching? You want to go to jail? You want to be shut down? Try it. That's wrong. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. Land of the free, home of the brave, right? Yeah. Let's go down to a bear nerd fun. There was an executive order to stop censorship on social media, as well as legislation is being talked about. I hope so. But the media in particular, since the days of World War II, and it's one of those things that when we went and took over Germany, we saw what the Minister of fucking Public Relations was doing out there, and we Operation Paperclipped all those guys over here and started doing it. So the media is just the story they're telling you. You know, they're waving that watch in front of your face, and you're sitting there eating ice cream and chips and getting fat and going, yep. You know, and I know that everybody listening to this show is smarter than that. I'm sure we have the shows we love to zone out on, but I think a lot of us in particular turn to YouTube because we craved an alternative. We craved interaction with our peers, with people who didn't talk down to us. And, especially with the Voldemort virus, we get that sense like the governors and the mayors of cities, and they're all like talking to us like we're 5-year-old idiots. Okay, now people, we need you to go ahead and put on masks, stay away from people. Don't go to work if you're feeling sick. But if you aren't feeling sick, go to work unless you can't go to work. But if you want to go to work, go unless you can. And it also reminds me of trends in entertainment. Okay. Back we were talking about the old Star Trek series, Gene Roddenberry. His first pilot, starring what's his name? Well, the first Christopher Pike, Jeffrey Hunt. Yeah, Jeffrey Hunt. Was turned down for the reasons that we went over. They didn't like Spock and they didn't like Majel Barrett. But one of the chief concerns was that it was too cerebral. Too cerebral, meaning that the network executives thought it was too grown up for their dumb TV audience, which is fucking insulting. Okay. Now there have been studies that, especially with TV programming and movies and stuff like that, the level of sophistication at which you write tends to be the level of sophistication of the minds of the audience that you attract. So, to put it bluntly, somebody who likes Star Trek probably wouldn't like Honey Boo Boo. Somebody who likes Honey Boo Boo probably wouldn't like Star Trek. Okay? Now, that's not to say every single last person who watches Honey Boo Boo is a fucking doofus. Because I could say that people that watch Star Trek are fucking doofuses too. But the type of language used, the metaphors cited, if any, in the case of Honey Boo Boo, and the type of edits and the sort of emotion that they're trying to elicit out of their audience is very, very telling. One of the reasons I like Star Trek is because it made me think. It took me out of the box. It put possibilities in my head. Shit, what if we did build a faster than light ship? What if we could end hunger? What if we could end disease? What if we could stop fighting over bullshit? Maybe we could get on a ship and fly out there and see who the fuck is out there. But that's been the trend in recent entertainment, hasn't it? The constant dumbing down of product, of media, what we're supposed to consume. Now I'm gonna say something a little bit controversial. Yes, very good, V-Star. Why the fuck can't we all get along? Now, of course, Black Lives Matter. We're not going to say that they don't. But the thing that really bothers me about this movement is it's tending to focus on what people are instead of who people are. And it goes directly against the very virtues that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King had espoused. Judge somebody not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And very malicious acts have been perpetrated in the name of racial outrage. Okay? Now, does that mean I'm trying to deny the past or say that shit never happened? No. What that means is that we acknowledge the past, but we have to find a way to move forward together. This is our planet. This is our home. None of us are going to go anywhere. And if we want to stop fucking butchering each other, we might start talking to each other, right? That's a good point there, Stephen. Stephen says BLM is racist by its very nature. I thought we were against racist hate groups. Right. You know, just as it's wrong to make a person of color feel bad about where they came from or how they talk or what music they listen to or how they dress, making white people feel guilty for shit that was done decades before now is fucking stupid too. Now, I'm even going to go out on a little further limb here. And I trust that you guys understand what I'm going to say when I say everybody is a little bit racist. Everybody. Right? Some of the most racist people I've met were black people. Some of the most racist people I met were Latin people. Some of the most racist people I met were Asian people, Native American people, fucking white people. Okay? We all have that instinct to gather into our collective and, you know, repel invaders and all that kind of stuff. And beyond that, we have, you know, I read in a book once by Neil Donald Walsh called Conversations with God. It's an interesting read. How people tend to have this, okay, we're humans, right? But we're humans from this particular country inside this particular border. And the humans in this particular country and this particular border are of this race. And of those people of that race in that country, we live in this city. And this city is the best city in the best country. And then I'm the best person in my house, and nobody else knows that. So it's this constant like redefinition of the I, of the me, and not the super ego I or me, but the fucking petty, the thing that gets hungry and the thing that gets horny and the thing that makes you be selfish. That kind of I. Right? I got a jet flying over. I'm hanging out on my porch, so I'm sure it's just the government watching me. But it's that thing where we have that instinct to protect our collective. The jet's pretty fucking loud, so go ahead and raise your glasses. I'll be right with you. We all have that instinct to protect what's our own and to repel invaders. But I really think we're capable of more. And if we thought of ourselves as a human family, but then again, divide and conquer wouldn't work that way, would it? So yeah, the media wants to sell us the story that there's something out there and there's some reason we should be divided and there's some reason that we should be at each other's throats. You know what the reason is. They want to keep the hamster on that little wheel. They want us to chase our tail our whole life. Pretty fucking simple, pretty cut and dry. Yes, V-Star, we all bleed the same. Absolutely. One human family. Absolutely. Yes, Tommy, it is all bullshit, isn't it? You know? And it's funny. Again, I don't want to insinuate that anybody listening to this right now is apathetic, but in general, there is a sense of apathy, a sense of like, well, it's out there, it's over there. I can't do fucking nothing about it. Well, sure you can. Think about how you conduct yourself. That's really, look in the mirror. That's the only person you could ever hope to change or control or what have you. So that's my little soapbox thing. Yeah, it's pretty weird. So on to actual entertainment news. I appreciate you guys rolling with me here while I pontificate. Um, and again, check us out on Sunday. We'll be going into more sort of socio-political commentary with fellow Washingtonians. One of the things that brought us together as a collective, as a fandom menace, a family menace, Dennis the Phantom Menace, is of course Star Wars. And sadly, an update on Star Wars Celebration 2020. Star Wars Celebration, the health and safety of our fans, attendees, exhibitors, guests, and staff is always our number one priority. Due to the global impact of the Voldemort virus, and in speaking with local and state authorities on the latest public health guidelines related to indoor conventions, we have made the decision to cancel Star Wars Celebration for 2020. Well, this is kind of sad. Despite the current state of Star Wars, and this is where I think a lot of people who are anti-Phantom Menace failed to understand us. We're not upset because we hate Star Wars. We're upset because we love Star Wars. We love Star Wars. Some of us, Star Wars is one of our earliest memories. Some of us, that was like the first movie that really knocked us off the seat on our ass and made us say, what the fuck? The movie is the series, instantly quotable, always referenced in every form of entertainment, omnipresent in our culture. Even if you're like fucking Joe Jockhead who never watched that shit in your life, you could say, I am your father, and they'd know exactly what the fuck you were talking about. Now it's sad that Star Wars Celebration has been canceled. Now, okay, you can pay lip service about COVID-19, blah-de-blah. And sure, nobody wants to get hurt, but check this out. I'm very close to people in the medical community. The daughter, my mother's daughter is a nurse. My current woman is a nurse. My daughter's grandfather is a PA who used to be a Green Beret medic. I used to be a massage therapist, so I've had some training. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm able to talk intelligently, and I know what diseases are and how they all fucking act. But the consensus of all these medical opinions is that at some point, probably everybody's going to have COVID. And it's going to be like the fucking measles or the chicken pox or, rhinovirus, the common cold. Now, it's the same thing when these diseases first came out. Some people dropped like flies because their immune systems couldn't fucking hack it. So what does that mean? You want to call it a calling of the herd. You want to call it Darwinism asserting itself, even if you want to look at it in deeper terms, maybe the spirits involved in the bodies of the people that died chose to experience the end of their life that way. Who the fuck knows? Either way, the people around are either going to be immune to it or have a greater resistance in dealing with it. Maybe you had a fever or a cold or a flu and you had COVID and you didn't fucking notice it because your system just kicked it out like it does every other time. Right? Now, I'm not advocating anybody else do this, but if you want to get into the should I vaccinate, should I not vaccinate sort of a arena, 7 years ago when my daughter was born, her mother and I took her to her first set of early life appointments. Now, my daughter was born premature, so when we looked at the schedule of vaccinations that they handed us, it was like 2 fucking pages long. And you're supposed to bring them back like every like 2-3 weeks to get more shots. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I looked at my vaccinations and it was only like, 14 maybe that I needed. Now, again, I'm not advocating this for anybody, but I haven't had a vaccine since 1987. And all the shit that's come along, every fucking flu strand, every fucking year. The bird flu, fucking swine flu, the rhino flu, the diplodocus flu, the echidna flu, the snuffleupagus flu. There's probably a snow dove, jolly flu. Just they. And I'm not saying that these things aren't serious. And if you feel like you need a vaccine, go get one. But how is it that I haven't had one since 1987? And the worst that I've had, I've been sick like, I don't know, 3-4 days tops in some instances my entire life. Wasn't fun, but it doesn't mean that I'm dying. In my estimation, the human immune system is a lot more resilient than it is given credit for. And if it ain't, well, shit, maybe you shouldn't breed, Castrate yourself. Don't spread your weak genes to the rest of us, right? That's all in jest, but so COVID-19, I think that's a good effort. That's a good excuse for it. But in some ways, I think the people in charge of Star Wars are reticent to face the fans, in light of the criticisms that's been levied against them. Now, it's easy for Disney to sort of shape the media, just like we were talking about earlier. They own fucking ABC. Believe they own Time Warner as well. So they have ways to stick their tendrils into everything and sort of color the picture that they want in print and in media. But yeah, we know the truth. And again, like when it's social media or when it's like guys like me yakking on YouTube, it's easy for them to come back and be like, well, that's just a vocal minority. That's just a few upset basement dwelling white guys who aren't enlightened enough to enjoy this fine quality product that Ryan Johnson sweated over for probably a day and a half in his room before turning in his first draft and working on his blue milk recipe for Luke. Oh, right, that was green milk. Sorry, the fucking unhealthy breast milk of the sea camel. So that's interesting. Now, Star Wars Celebration, before all the shit happened, one of the first things I remember doing, I'm sitting around, I'm waiting for The Force Awakens to start, right? This is 2015. So Celebration happened in the summertime. The movie was set to release around Christmas. Okay. And for dumb reasons that I won't elaborate on too much, I was on house arrest. So I didn't have anything to do except go to work and come directly home. And one of the things that I did was bone up on my Star Wars. Star Wars Celebration, as you know, is a multi-day event. They have multiple events going on all day across different stages. There was so many actors that were interviewed. There were so many announcements. Even visits from the big man himself, George motherfucking Lucas. So I sat there, I saw some really good shit. It made me excited to see Star Wars. Mark Hamill was charming. He was funny. He did a little bit of Joker for us. I think he even did Joker meets Luke Skywalker. That's pretty fucking amusing. And then one of my all-time favorite Star Wars celebration moments, they got Ian McDiarmid to come out on stage and read from the Return of the Jedi, but it was rendered in Shakespearean language. And Ian McDiarmid is a Shakespearean actor, so to hear him put on his Palpatine voice and read the Emperor's lines from the throne room in Return of the Jedi was just, the hair on my fucking arm stood up. And I'm like, man, this has got to be the fucking shit. There's just like a city full of dorks like me who want to go and talk about like Vader's cybernetics and what's inside a lightsaber, and fuck, how could I do that? And I start looking at like, oh, where is it going to be next year? How much is it? Do you have to get a hotel and blah, blah, blah. The Force Awakens comes out and we're kind of like, all right, that was all right. What's going to happen next? Luke's standing there. He turned around. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And then the same thing, 2 years, speculation, all this fucking massive buildup. And we got The Last Jedi. Excuse me, I need a drink. Now, Disney did a good job of hyping up The Last Jedi. You couldn't really tell from the trailer what we got in the theater. We had to actually go and see it for ourselves. But the first celebration post The Last Jedi, when you see Mark Hamill sitting in his seat next to Rian Johnson, like his body language, and like Rian Johnson sitting there and Luke, I want to call him Luke. Mark Hamill is sitting there just like having to bite his tongue. Now, a couple times he almost said what was on his mind. But then I guess Mickey Mouse pulled him into the room and pulled up his Jedi robe and spanked him with a training lightsaber. So he was more careful. And fucking come to think of it, the same thing happened with George Lucas, that white slaver comment, right? And suddenly, Star Wars Celebration didn't seem to be as appealing, did it? I mean, you still wanted to go, kind of, and you wanted to be with people. But there's that division in the fan base, and who knows how much of it is Twatter twats. Who knows? But that's when all of us found solace in the fandom menace as it coalesced. There was a couple of channels who were kind of doing proto fandom menace stuff, but like when it actually landed and the council was going, and we were all just like, yeah. The whole Star Wars Celebration experience really, really shifted, didn't it? Suddenly the big fandom menace channels, they were going to Star Wars Celebration to laugh, to hang out. Geez, what was it? Probably 2017? No. 2018, maybe. They went to Star Wars Celebration when it was in Chicago. I think that's the first time they all got to meet up together, all three of them. A handful of other channels. I know Damaj and I was out there. Hang on, I got another jet flying over. I'm going to go ahead and mute this for a sec. Okay, I appreciate your patience. I live close to a military base, so this kind of shit happens all the time. But you had the big channels going out there and just having a good time, hanging out. And the thing is that people in attendance at Star Wars Celebration recognized them. They recognized them, and more often than not, they got the thumbs up. They were like, "What up?" So it's different, and then suddenly, at least for me, being a Phantom Menace fan and a very young YouTube channel, I probably only had like 5 videos at the time, and it was like terrible. But my heart was in the right place. I would sit there and like, geez, how fucking cool would it be to like show up and there's all these people that I admire right there, and you can go and talk to them and buy some of them a beer. Talking about you, Griggs, fucking drink something, man up. Uh, but I bet World Class would be cool to drink with. I bet EVS would be cool to drink with. I'd drink with them. Uh, and then amongst my group of friends, like and this is way back in the day before these guys were geeks and gamers adjacent or whatever the fuck you want to call them on Team G plus G. Um, I talked to like Lethal Lightning and Drunk 3PO and Stephen Walton and these guys like all the time. Like we're buds. We were all in the fucking trenches together back in the day, and we'd sit around and go like, we should fucking go to Star Wars Celebration, and then other people would be like, well, how do you know they'd let us in? You show up in a Phantom Menace t-shirt, you're walking around with your cell phone or like a little microphone or whatever the fuck, they're gonna boot your ass out. So then I probably Black Angus or somebody, he was like, well, what if we just went and we didn't even like buy a ticket and go in? What if we just bought a hotel and we just fucking hung out across the street? We'll see people coming by, we'd party, we'd do whatever. We'd be there, but we wouldn't be paying to listen to Kathleen Kennedy run her suck hole. And it was like such an attractive idea. Why don't we go to Star Wars Celebration? And I've been in financial straits before, particularly the past few years. Now things have gotten better over the last year. I have a real good job in construction. So the idea of like dropping a couple $1,000s and hopping on a plane and getting a hotel room and some booze and just kicking it and talking to Star Wars geeks seemed like a doable thing. Not this year though. Um, while this news is disappointing, we're happy to announce that Star Wars Celebration will return to the Anaheim Convention Center in 2022. 2022. Light years away. I wonder how far Earth will spin before it gets to 2022. All right, here comes another jet. Go ahead and raise your glasses high in memoriam to Star Wars Celebration 2020. All right. Well, so RIP Star Wars Celebration. We'll see you next time. Let's go ahead and hop back onto the chat here. Looks like you guys were talking about quite a bit. Let's see. Yeah, that's right, Bear. Joint Lewis, JBLM. Live right outside there somewhere in Pierce County. Then yes, V-Star, the government is evil. Simple good versus evil. Yeah. And they'll try to sell us on that idea that we need them. We'd be so like misguided and blah 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 without government. I think that some form of government is possible in a sort of a wise council, but it would require like an evolutionary step in thinking for humanity. And it's that sort of in their heart of hearts, the sane liberals, that idea of utopia and that idea that we can get along and we can share everything. Those are very much ideals to strive for, but trying to get a governmental body to force that shit to happen, that's how totalitarianism happens. So until we figure out how to not kill each other and how to share shit, government's going to be a present evil. People just don't trust themselves to conduct themselves in a good manner. And indeed, that idea of good is relative depending on who the fuck you ask. One person's good is another person's evil. Yes, show the rest by our actions. Thank you, V-Star. I appreciate that. And see, shows like this and people like you guys help us realize that we're not alone. I'm sitting here in my fucking house thinking like, oh, I'm the only fucking sane motherfucker out there. But I get on with you guys and I feel like I'm talking with family, Author Stephen Walton. Shatner invited all friends of Star Wars and cosplayers to come to the Star Trek convention in Las Vegas. He said we could celebrate both there. Hail William Shatner. I like that. God damn it, here's another jet. These guys want me to get drunk today. Okay, one more time. All right. William Shatner, he has one of the most amusing Twatter feeds I've ever read. I don't know if it's him personally or if it's somebody on his behalf, but William Shatner, at least as far as like fans go, his wit is sharp, despite him being a fucking fossil by this point. I don't care if his hair is real or not. But his treatment of the fans, he is so grateful for everything that they've given him. And as long as you come to him correct, he'll bullshit with you. I like that. It's probably one of those reasons that even today, shit, what is it? 50, 60 years after the fact, Star Trek, those characters remain relatable because the actors who portrayed them are real human beings. Eccentric as fuck sometimes, but real nevertheless. And I find Stephen, I find Mark Hamill, at least as far as his treatment of the fans go, to be the same way. Now I disagree with him politically, but even through all of his political opinions, never once have I heard him shit on fans for not liking Star Wars. Matter of fact, he was on our side. He was like, Rian Johnson made some choices that I disagree with. It's like watching Jake Skywalker, not Luke. Right? So that's really the attitude it takes. And that attitude I would also say is embodied by EVS. You know, he takes a lot of shit, and some people disagree with how he's, you know, doing this or that, but you can't deny the man loves his fans. And he says it every day. You know, he's made what, like $2.5 million off of a fucking cyber fraud. That's because he says thank you every single time. Author Stephen Walton, he just wrote a book. He's doing pretty good for himself. He says thank you every fucking day. Fuck, he wrote thank you in my copy of the book that he sent me. That's what it takes, folks. And in that same regard, thank you. 4 of you guys are watching right now. That's great. That's 4 more than I thought would ever fucking watch this. Many more of you guys are listening to this on the replay. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's the cabal, i.e. the deep state that hides in the government. That is the enemy. Yes, Bear. You can see instances where well-intentioned senators, public servants, what have you, they go in and they're like, we're going to fight the system from inside the system. Fuck all these evil old bastards who want to fly goddamn jets over my house. I think we might have gotten lucky on that one. But they get in and they find that there's a wall. There's only so far that they can go, or they're blocked, or they're hindered, or they're assigned some bullshit tasks. And then at some point they get offered the pass. Hey, do you want to be one of us? Would you sell your soul? If you can do it, then you can rise to the ranks, but you got to do some fucking you got to do some Pizzagate shit. You got to do some soul cooking shit. You know, you got to walk on that checkerboard. You got to you know, check out Scotland and York, right? You got to know what trilateral shit is, you know. Yeah, you got to know who the Knights Templar are. You got to kiss ass. You got to kiss rings. Bullshit. Again, Bear says he knew all the COVID stuff was going to happen 3 days before the lockdown. Yeah, they telegraphed themselves. V-Star, it's always going to be something stupid. We do have a cure. It's leading the sheep to the slaughter. Let's see here. Okay. V-Star again. Back in the day, we just had one vaccination when they gave it to us. I don't know if this is all the same sort of comment. But anyway, got some weird shit going on. Okay, Tommy. I will be glad when the real heat happens and all these motherfucking snowflakes melt. Tired of them. Tired of having them in the stupid comments. Had one earlier that just pissed me off to no end. And the comment in particular was on another channel, but you know, I know that there are people who are paid to go and troll channels. There are people who are paid to find out who is disagreeing with whoever is paying them and go make them look stupid. What's her name? Rimfamous, in her infamous battle with EVS, was pointed out that she did that professionally for a political party, and she'd go out and make people look like idiots and make the other guy in the other color tie look better. And then apparently she moved over to comic books and video games. It's fucking stupid. So it's virtue for sale. Virtue for sale. Random Brad still here. I appreciate that, sir. I appreciate all you guys. Wednesday night, drinking beer, drinking vodka, whatever the fuck you have. I prefer bourbon. My drinks actually good old Boilermakers. You know, slam a shot of whiskey, followed up with some good brew. I tend to like dark ales myself. Something red's probably the lightest thing you'll see unless I have a adventurous hair up my ass. So yes, do not kneel. Never fucking kneel. Don't bow down for anyone. Always be yourself. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. And in this respect, I can agree with Griggs. People will try to shut you up. People are going to try to make you look bad. They'll throw stones at you. They'll call you names. They'll try to take away your thing. But the one thing that you will always have is your truth and your scruples. So as long as you do not sell those out, doesn't fucking matter what they take from you. They can take your life, but they'll never take your freedom. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you all showing up. Tommy, I appreciate you modding, buddy. I know you guys got other shit going on. It's cool to have you out here. Random Brad's getting saucy. He's got 60 liters of beer. What a brewed beer on the go. Hell yeah, man. I don't know about you guys, but Scotsmen keep drinking until as long as there's one blade of grass to hang on to on the earth, they'll keep going. So from your future Minister of Whiskey Mysticism, my name is Immortal Coil. This has been the Savage Perspective. Go ahead and raise those glasses high. Take another shot for me, and we will talk to you later.